It's really well. Don't get me wrong, I love Jack Black. Adrian Brody is great. Naomi Watts is delightful, my friends. But I didn't come here to see any of them.
Get to the fucking monkey. Get to the fucking monkey. Get to the fucking monkey.
All right, you guys ready to go? Yeah. Cool. All right, so fuck yes. Welcome back to the Hype with me. Your host is always Brian Dressel. With me, as always, is Jonathan Hardesty.
Ready and raring to go.
Oh my God, you need to start perking up for these things. Ryan James.
That was a joke.
And Chewie Darso.
Hello. Ryan or John, please don't perk up too much. You're right in front of me.
No, all of the perk.
Hold on. I'll perk up as much as I want.
Nice and slow. Special guest today is Sam Garrison. Hi, Sam.
Hi.
Sam, you were the first person I thought of when I scheduled this battle. I'm like, oh, we're doing a kaiju battle. I knew to invite Sam.
You told me. I think I knew about this one 3 months in advance.
Yeah, you knew about this one
canceled
nice and early.
plans to be here. I've been like, no, I'm doing the kaiju battle.
I'm pretty sure I scheduled it, and then I saw you the next day. I'm like, oh, I have one for you. This will be a good one. Okay, so let's do a where have you been doing? Sam, do you want to go first?
Sure. I saw Logan on Wednesday.
No, really?
Yeah, I won tickets to a special pre-screening with James Mangold.
Ooh.
So it was really good though. I think I'm one of the few people that really liked the Wolverine, the one in Japan.
Our podcast was very favorable on it.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I know that there's issues with the third act, whatever.
Sure.
But
it's the worst part of the film.
But I think in general, like, it's a really lovely movie. I love Wolverine. Yeah. I love what Hugh Jackman's done with the character, and I thought this was just like, it just blew my mind. I cried a lot.
Yeah, there was a lot of tearful moments.
I had about 3 or 4 like trembling lip moments, but I only really cried once.
One star.
It did not get a tear out of me, which I was expecting it to, and it didn't.
I full blownsies cried, but
yeah.
I was just also like just a very dark, heavy film. So, I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. Chewie, what about you?
Well, we also did see Logan.
Fair enough.
She just talked about that.
Yeah. So you can keep talking about it if you want, or you can do something else.
Last weekend we didn't see Get Out.
What's that movie about?
Things. But we did see A Cure for Wellness.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. I thought it was about what I was expecting. Actually, it was a little less gritty than what I was expecting from the advertising campaign. The advertising campaign had from like gothic European horror feelings to me that I was really excited for, and we got a little bit of that. Not completely. It got a little. I liked how campy it ended up. I know you didn't completely get into the campness.
Well, it seems like that's kind of what Gore Verbinski's style was before, and kind of went back to it.
No, it totally makes sense. It's just it wasn't that I didn't like the campiness. It's that the movie has such a like logical progression the whole way through, like, and then the last act it like skips steps. So if it's like getting crazier, instead of craziest, it just goes from crazier to craziest, and it doesn't.
It's like that one-off battle at a party that just gets too far.
I don't think they could though, because it was already a long movie for the type of film it was. A lot of people got turned off and didn't go because it's over 2 hours.
Yeah, it's 2:40. I think it's a long.
It's a long movie.
I don't want to spend that much time with Gore Verbinski.
But there was I never had a moment where I wanted to check my phone. Like I was pretty on board the whole time. It did feel long, but not in a negative sense for me. I don't want to spoil anything because so many people didn't see it that I don't want to talk about too many details. But it's essentially if you are willing to sit through a long, plotting movie that ends up with a crazy mad scientist, go to it.
Yeah.
See if it's still in theaters. It might not even be at this point.
I mean, we saw it and it had already been cut down to like 3 showtimes, so that was a week after it came out.
It has
so.
a lot of great payoffs.
That runtime is really a huge turnoff for people who just don't have time for
we'll
things.
see how it does with the Fate and the Furious, because that's about 3 hours long.
Yeah, but that's 3 hours with my family.
Right.
I love it.
A 3-hour action movie is more digestible.
But like, I'm so into it. But
I'd spend 12 hours with Vin Diesel, you guys. You don't even know.
I would too, but the only thing he says is "I am Groot."
No,
I let him say things from Iron Giant.
Yeah.
Oh my
too.
gosh!
No.
Oh my gosh! What if in the Fast and Furious movies they got him a bobblehead Groot to put on the dash of his car? That would be amazing.
That's the next movie.
That has definitely happened in
I
movies
want
before.
Xander
I can't name
Cage
one,
to
but-
cross into the Fast universe so
too.
that he has to face off against himself in a fur coat.
But he has clauses in both movies where he can't lose fights. So what do you do?
Oh, wait, hold on. It's like
I'm here for it.
it's like putting buttered bread
They
on the
have
back of
that
a cat and
moment.
dropping him. How does he land? It
It'll
just
be
doesn't
like
happen.
that lightsaber moment in Episode 3 when Obi-Wan and Anakin are fighting and their lightsabers just go womp 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 at each other and they never actually hit each other.
Yes, that will be the entirety of that movie.
It would just end in a hug. A big hug of
You're a
potato.
good-looking
A big
Man,
hug with like
so
some
are
like a little
you.
bit of necking.
Oh no! See the two Vin Diesels meet, and everyone's like, "Uh-oh, they've just combined forces."
And they just start playing patty cake.
Why?
Mecha Diesel.
Mecha Diesel, yeah.
Why
all right,
haven't
They have to
made
bring
it-
they have to bring in
See-
Crank.
We need to
really,
stop
guys.
this. We need to
Why,
stop this rabbit hole.
really fast. Why haven't they made a 3D movie with Vin Diesel where it just feels like you're getting splattered with a sweat the whole time?
Because gross.
Because I'm the only person that would see it.
I would
Why-
be there with you.
Okay, you need if you're gonna do that, you need to do 4D and actually have people like with little water misters. It's
You get the minimum wage theater staff
Yeah.
with little water bottles on
Yeah.
mist,
yeah,
and
that'd be the best way
you
to
get
do
the one guy who forgot to turn it, so it's like a squirt.
Okay, so that is the logical ending point of that bit. Okay, so I'll go really, really fast because I only have.
Oh yeah, my thing turned into it.
Yeah, it really did. So I've been watching season 12 of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and I recently watched The Gang Goes to the Water Park, and it is one of the funniest episodes they've had in years. And that's all I'm going to say. John, you?
I've been playing a lot of Horizon Zero Dawn on my new PS4, and I've been also streaming it just for record, because I want to see where I suck later, but I also want to like share the experience. There's been a few people I've chatted with, and they're like, "Oh, this is so cool," and I've convinced people to actually buy the game. Weirdly enough,
Never even attempted to convince me to buy it. Thanks a lot, John. See where I stack up on that
Yep,
list of priorities.
Yep.
That's fine.
But it's really fun,
Buy
and
less games.
there's a lot of these things that you've played before in games, like open world, riding, like there's mounts and things like that, and like stealth. There's a lot of games that you recognize, but they're pared down, and this is Guerrilla Games' first foray into this sort of thing, going from Killzone to this, and it's really well done. And I just discovered that this game had photo mode, and I've ignored it in all games up to this point. And I decided to try it out, and man, that thing is specific. You can have focal length changes, depth. I feel like it's the whole gamut. You can take the character out of the picture and put them back in.
Yeah,
and
this is everything people discovered like 4 years ago when they started this.
I'm after the hype on this feature. And it was really fun.
Ryan, what about you? Where have you been doing?
I got to play the Nintendo Switch.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Switch.
Yeah.
You hanged out with Ben.
I did hang out with friend of the show, Ben Cam. He let me play his Nintendo Switch. He got Breath of the Wild, which is
Nice.
just phenomenal.
If you buy a Switch right now and you don't buy Breath of the Wild, you just wasted $300.
Absolutely.
What's a Nintendo Switch?
It's the new Nintendo
oh
system.
no.
Is it like handheld or console?
Yes.
It is both.
That's why it's called Switch.
Yeah. So basically, you can play it on your TV, and if you want to go somewhere, you take the game with you, and you keep playing the same game.
So it's kind of like what they were trying to do with the Wii U, but good.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly like that. Because
Yep.
it looks like a tablet or like an iPad mini size, and then there's two like controller sliders that come down onto it. So you're holding it, and you have controllers, and it's or then it undocks, and you just connect the controllers to your thing, and you sit at your TV. Or you take both controllers off, and like we did, you play 1-2 Switch, which is their new party game. And it starts out with like only 7 games, like samurai training, where you catch the swords. One person swinging a sword, the other person has to clap their hands with
That's
the
kinda
Switch
funny.
to catch
Yeah.
it. There is a table tennis one where you kind of just go by the sound, and as long as you're swinging, it makes sense. And then we got kind of bored. There were only 7 games, and we realized that you have to play 10 games to unlock the rest of the set. So we like went back and forth, and we were like kind of wearing out the games, and then we unlocked the entire set and spent hours playing Wizard Battle.
Did you do the cow milking one?
No, we just literally did Wizard Battle the rest
Wait,
of the night.
need to do the-
there's a cow milking?
There's a
game?
cow milking one where you have to sit across from each other, stare at each other, and do the milking motion with the Joy-Con controller.
And you make eye contact
Yeah.
the whole time.
I
right?
would.
Yeah, that's the point. They actually
Yeah.
encourage you through the entire game to stare at each other while you're
Oh,
playing.
this is so overtly sexual.
Yeah.
Because they and
Because-
most of the motions are just moving your
Especially
hands
if
up
it's
and
a boy
down.
and a girl
Yeah.
doing
You
it
have
together.
to-
have to like it's very accurate to the milking thing.
And you have to probably press a button and then pull down, let
Yep,
go.
you have to squeeze and pull down. Yep.
Yes, that's exactly how you do it, honey.
Yeah, I'll never play that.
Wizard Battle's awesome though. You just like you have a wand and you thrust at each other with your wizard power, and on the screen it shows your big beams of energy, and you're like flying back and forth.
People don't realize
it's so good.
People don't realize this, but
Thrust
Nintendo
and then pull and yank.
Nintendo is very like low key naughty. Like
yeah, absolutely. It's like kids' cartoons where they can put it in where they can be subtle about it, and they know the kids won't get it, but all the adults are looking at all their crap, being like, "What?"
In Breath of the Wild, look for Lonely Arrow Girl. I think.
Okay.
There's a euphemism in there.
Oh, I'm sure.
Lonely Arrow.
But
Innuendo, I mean.
Breath of the Wild is so great. It plays like an open world RPG, more like Skyrim. Your weapons break. You have to collect all sorts of stuff. You craft food. It's great.
Yeah, I've heard it's arguably one of the best games Nintendo has ever released. And
Probably.
It's a hell of a review.
I mean, I watched it for a half hour, but if it stayed that good, maybe.
Yeah, I'm excited to play it whenever I get a Switch, which could be in the next 6 months or never.
See, now the only thing I haven't
want one in the 6 months to be.
Yeah.
The only thing I haven't figured out is like because there's a Wii U version as well, so I haven't figured out like if there's a significant difference between the two, or if there isn't.
There isn't.
Then I'm just gonna get it for the Wii U.
Just get it for the Wii U.
Yeah, because the
There's
game
a
sounds so
graphical
fun.
difference, but
Yeah.
the game is still the same. All right, well, we should get started on our battle for the day, don't you think? It feels like that time.
Yes.
It's about that time.
So today, in honor of if you're going tonight, I congratulate you, but you're probably going tomorrow with the rest of the world. Kong Skull Island, which I'm very, very excited for in pretty much every way, shape, and form. The early reviews that have come out make it look really awesome if you're into this sort of thing, which luckily everyone on the table is today. So today, in honor of that, we're doing our Kaiju Battle. I am the judge today, so I didn't pick a movie, so I'm going to let the people go around the table and say what they're defending, and then we'll jump into it.
Godzilla 1985, The Legend is Reborn.
Sam?
Pacific Rim.
Gamera, Guardian of the Universe.
Cloverfield.
Nice.
You sound so enthusiastic about that, John.
Cool.
I'm so enthusiastic
I hope this
the
is
whole
like
day.
that time you had 10 things I hate about you and then I argued your case.
So, as per usual, when it's my choice to choose who goes first, like today it is, John is going first.
Of course.
Go, John, go.
So, John, you have 5 minutes to state your case. Why is Cloverfield the best kaiju movie?
Okay.
Go.
Quick sum up. These kids, these 20-somethings, are having a party up on the rooftop, and shit goes down. A giant monster attacks the city, and it's all kind of told through just a little camera. And if you looked at our Instagram, you'll see the camera.
That is the one from the movie.
It is. We recovered it. We're the ones who found it. But it plays through them going through the city and the lead character trying to find his girlfriend, who is in the middle of the whole mess. And so it's a rescue mission to go get her and bring her back. They do. However, they don't escape. And it ends up with everyone pretty much dying, which, if you know me, that's awesome. That infinite pain that you're talking about, very much so. What I really liked about this, and I've come to appreciate more often now in movies that have like big influences and references, is accessibility. So you've got a huge history of monster kaiju movies like Godzilla, and you've got the Kongs, and you've got all these kind of just this vast history that can be kind of daunting. And so there's a place, like, I really appreciate just how this movie, Cloverfield, makes me want to go back and check other movies. I'm thinking, I liked the fact that this monster is tearing down the city. I didn't get to really see a lot of it. So, man, I wonder what other movies are in there, in this whole thing. And you start to explore. And I think that doesn't get enough attention. Also, this movie is not very long. And I also appreciate and really, really like brisk pacing. But that gets to the point of it. Oftentimes, like with the newest Godzilla movie, there was a lot of times where it was like, just get to Godzilla already. And like, it's not bad. Like, I really appreciate it, but there's kind of an element of just kind of get to what you're trying to do. Not necessarily see the monster, but get to the themes of it, get to the kind of the action, kind of what's the point of this? You kind of linger too long on something else. And this is just, the kids are having a party, we get introduced to every character, and then the monster shows up. And it's just dealing with survival. And the movie does the I'm drawing a blank on what the term is all of a sudden.
Found footage?
Found footage. Does the found footage thing, and it does it fairly linearly. So it cheats a little bit, but you don't feel like the movie is cheating it too much. Whereas there are some movies with the found footage where you're like, okay, someone's going to edit this perfectly. Like some horror films are like, okay, they had to have spliced that. They have to splice this together. Where it's just like, they just took the tape and played it, which I thought that had that feel, and I really appreciated that. And it gave it an energy that I think up until now wasn't really a part of these movies. These movies aren't just cut, action. And so this kind of brought an energy to it that, I don't know, it really kind of resonated with me in that way. And it was probably one of the first few like monster movies that I can remember like seeing, because I kind of came to this thing late. Like I do like I do to a lot of things, like photo mode. But yeah, it really kind of gave me an appreciation, and kind of through the inspiration that these like Drew Goddard and Matt Reeves took from the monster movies, gave me just, it really kind of let me in, and I came to appreciate these movies from that. The acting, I forgot that T.J. Miller was HUD. Yeah. And when I turned on the movie, like, that guy looks so familiar.
It's a very young T.J. Miller.
It's a very young T.J. Miller, yeah.
Don't you go start some IP companies at some point or something?
Well, yeah, I mean, he came back from the dead and did that.
It
But
worked out well.
yeah, and I forgot how much time they spent in the beginning with everyone. So I vaguely remembered this movie just being like, we get straight to the monster and the survival, and we don't really get to spend time with the people, but we actually kind of do. And even though the issues that they're dealing with are all kind of like kid issues, like love and all that, garbage.
God, love is so childish.
Ugh, so immature.
Gosh, John, I can't wait
You're
to
really
Kareen as a
leaning into
teenager
this
and starts
life is
having
pain
emotions.
Yeah, when she starts having emotions, I'll show her Requiem for a Dream.
It's all pain,
Say
Karina.
goodbye to
It doesn't
your
get better after high school. It just gets worse.
Oh, I would never repeat what you're going through ever. But I mean, it grounds it a bit more than I remembered it, because I remembered it a very certain way, kind of how pop culture kind of remembers this as kind of like, oh, it's just that found footage monster movie, whatever. Well, it's like, oh, this is pretty exciting, and even though the main character is very misguided, like he kind of follows the advice of his brother, which is like, go for it, pursue your love, which is love is garbage, right? But it was kind of like, you're gonna do that.
Jandy, are you listening?
All right, there we go. That's your 5 minutes. And the biggest takeaway I got from that was love is garbage.
Life is pain, love is garbage.
The happily married father at the table.
Yeah, love is garbage. So the questions I'll have for you, and then if anyone else has anything they want to say, try to take this down, please chime in. My biggest thing, though, is I think personally, any good kaiju movie is only as good as its monster, and you didn't mention the monster at all. You didn't describe him. You didn't really say what you just said that there is one.
The movie isn't really about the monster, which is my biggest argument against it.
Okay.
Oh, but the movie's about avoiding the monster,
Yeah.
and how wherever they go, there it is.
Right.
You see its feet a lot.
Yeah.
But that's my question is like, so what about the monster? Do you like the monster? Is it a good design? Like what?
I feel like that may be the one area where I can concede that point, that it's, I mean, to be fair, it's a, like Super 8. I mean, the monster is not exactly the point of the movie, which again, knock against it. But what I didn't mention, and I really appreciated, was there was that subway scene with the spawn of the monster.
Sure, yeah.
And it was kind of
they're not the spawn, they're the ticks, which they actually took from my movie.
interesting. Okay.
I think every movie but GAMERA has a version of that today.
Yeah, and that was a cool. I remember being very surprised when I saw that in the theater, because I was like, oh, okay, what's this? Oh, it had things on it. Like, didn't connect it because I was wrapped up in the chaos. As far as like the design goes, I mean, not as impressive, but it also felt like a threat. I'm so in the movie that I'm with that camera. I don't have time to see it. I don't have time to pay attention to the monster. I know it's like this big, lumbering threat, and there's almost like kind of a nightmare feel to it.
Sure.
Which like you can never see the monster in your nightmares. Like
we have very different nightmares.
Yeah. Like
all I see are monsters.
But like the monsters have no faces. Like you kind of just get this this threat. It's over you. I don't know. I have weird different dreams.
Apparently.
Yeah.
It's fitting that you're wearing like a Cthulhu t-shirt, because that's kind of who's the author? I'm blanking.
H.P.
Lovecraft.
It's very like Lovecraftian, I think,
Yeah.
in that respect, where it's more about the fact that like nature is completely turned against us. But I don't know if that works for a kaiju movie where the monster must be a symbol in the same way that like zombies are or something.
Yeah, because this one, my biggest complaint with this one, this is probably the one I've seen the most recently on the table, is that the monster is second fiddle to the story, and the story isn't that great. Like, that's always been my biggest thing with it. You're in it for the ride, and the ride is awesome. Though, like, especially the first time you see this on, you saw this thing in theaters, it's an awesome ride. But when you break it down, it's kind of boring, and nothing really happens. I mean, the city falls down, but you don't really care about the characters. So what would make this one better than the rest of the movies on the table? Like, why would you recommend this one over any of the other ones? Because in part of your argument, you said that the best thing about this movie is that it makes you want to watch other movies. Right. So why would you go back to this one?
That could be construed as both a knock and a plus on it, because it's like it is a very well made monster movie, and the monster takes down buildings, and it's just a different perspective. And it's the only movie that takes the the kaiju thing and makes the humans like at least watchable.
Okay, yeah.
Like you get the older ones, you're like
Idris Elba, and I have something to say about that.
well,
that's why I was laughing. I'm like,
well, Idris Elba and no one else.
Because you guys have
and I have something to say about that.
Everyone in Pacific Rim is great to watch. If not
great to
because
watch,
their character, they're pretty.
I was gonna say like
They're-
poor Charlie
they're-
Hunnam. He's like anyway,
The guy I get confused with Garrett Hedlund almost in every movie.
they're similarly useless.
No, I think your love of Elba is matched by my hatred of Hedlund and Hunnam. Like, I just don't like them.
You can't hate neutrality.
Cloverfield. Cloverfield.
Yeah.
Weird.
It's fun. And I like that the movie is so fun that it inspires. Like, I know it feels inspired by the other movies. It feels like it's a genuine entry trying to do something a little different with a love for it. And by the end of the movie, I too, love this franchise, this genre that I didn't know. Like, I didn't realize I liked these movies until I saw Cloverfield, and it kind of woke that. It awoken the monster.
It's like pot. It's a gateway drug.
Right.
gateway movie.
Everybody loves pot. Says the non-smoker.
So I mean, it may seem like this is the movie that I'll watch this, get it out of the way, and then go watch the other ones. But I keep coming back to this one. Like, it'll be on TV, I'll stop and watch it.
Yeah.
If I had the DVD, I would watch it more. I had to get rid of it because I was poor.
Out of time. That's 2 episodes in a row. You've had a very good final sentence. Last time you're humping a wall. This time, because I'm poor.
And life is garbage.
Yeah.
Love is garbage.
Love is garbage.
Man.
I
Just
really
so
work at those.
everyone knows, John is one of our most dynamic and happy friends.
That's true.
Surprisingly, I'm well adjusted. I just keep that darkness up and.
That's how he lets off the little bit of steam at a time by talking about how much love is garbage.
It's actually like the book The Shining, where you got to let off the steam just a little bit, or else the whole overweight
After
story.
the hype
That's
is
right.
giving Karina a good childhood.
Yes.
Is that what this is?
Basically.
Okay, so I'll let you pick who goes next. Who do you want to follow that?
Let's do GAMERA.
Oh, I'm so ready.
Okay, so you get 5 minutes. You're claiming you don't need them.
Yeah.
I'll believe it when I see it. Go.
So imagine if you made Ninja Turtles into a monster and made them a Power Rangers villain.
Oh, fuck. That's a good argument.
This movie, GAMERA, Guardian of the Universe, is great
Cheating.
because playing to the judge. No. It actually,
Solid argument.
it actually is really good because it is a love letter to kaiju movies that came before it, and it kind of hits all of the things that I love about them. It's about, we kind of get the monster a little way in. It opens up with a nuclear submarine hitting an island and running aboard, and then they find some flying dragon monsters, and they explore the island more and find these little gemstones and the statue that ends up shattering, and it's all tied into this ancient mythology. And then there's this young girl who touches one of these stones, and during one of these attacks from these dragons, we find out there are 3 of them. GAMERA pops out of the water in this great, kaiju moment to swipe down these villains, and we find out that she has become mind-linked to him through touching this stone. So she shares his wounds. When he gets scratched in the face, a little cut appears on her face, and so on and so forth. And then it kind of explores more of this mythology of GAMERA, and we find out he's this ancient and Atlantean thing built to fight these monsters, and he does that to great effect. And they explore another theme I love, which is like the environmental and the nuclear aspects of kaiju. So they discover that these Gaios, which are the villains, could only come back in this current state of like pollution and nuclear environment on Earth. And then GAMERA is allowed to return to fight them. We also have just some amazing action scenes between the monsters. I mean, this is all done with the suits and model sets, and there's just tons of like throwing each other around and like just giant exploding little miniatures, on the water. You get like those classic moments where he like rises out of the water, and it's really reminiscent of the 94 Power Rangers series.
That's what I was just thinking.
I know.
Oh, like the Green Ranger?
It really, so many times watching a turtle like march up out of the water, like from the ocean onto the land, exactly like the Green Ranger's Megazord does. It just hit all the right notes in my heart.
Do you have like aimbotting installed or something?
I mean, he flies through space. He shoots fireballs. He like spins around like the blue shell in Super Mario Kart to fly and attack things. This series actually ends up being really good. This is the first of a trilogy by the same team, director maybe. The third one actually ends up being kind of like what I call the Return of the Jedi of the series. It like really stands up against any modern kaiju movie, Pacific Rim, Cloverfield, the newest Godzilla, like being like really solid dark tone effects, great lighting, great acting, great villains. All around this series is really, really, really good.
When did it come out?
95.
95.
Yeah, 95, 97, and 99 were this trilogy's
Are
release
there
dates.
humans in this movie? What do they do?
Oh, yeah. So there's the girl who touches
Taking
the
my
stone
question,
and is mind linked.
Funny.
We also have a reporter who is kind of unraveling the mystery of GAMERA. Oh, and what I love is like GAMERA is totally the good guy in this. He's fighting these Gaios. He's created to do it, but he has no like regard for human nature. So he's just stomping around, killing people and stomping through cities. So they try to fight him too, without realizing that he's actually on their side. So their like military prowess, or their military power is hurting them because GAMERA has to go back into hibernation. And that allows for one of my favorite things, which is the last Gaios mutates at the end of the movie and becomes like a super Gaios after consuming some radiation. And then he flies to Tokyo and knocks over a giant radio tower and roosts on it. And in one of the most epic scenes I've ever seen, the little girl who's mind linked with GAMERA just comes out into they like bring her into the office. They're like, she has something to tell you. She's like, he's here. And then GAMERA like comes, it just rumbles out of the sea. He travels underground to this radio tower and bursts up and destroys the thing's nests, and all its eggs are everywhere. It's so good. I don't know how I could top that. That's like the climax of the movie.
Well, you're
and
out
then
of time.
she's like, GAMERA will return again, and he marches off into the ocean to come back in 2 years.
Whew. Okay, so man, there's a lot to unpack in that. I appreciate the Power Rangers and Turtle element. That is a tough one to beat on the table.
To be honest,
Turtles
I
give you
shoehorned the
salmonella.
turtles.
They're
but,
not your friends.
Turtles are my friends. They're the Ninja Turtles.
The Power Rangers was really close. I mean, they were just both made in the same time period, so the effects and the shooting and the style are nearly identical.
All right, so Sam kind of hit the nail on the head, though. So you kind of explained what the humans are. Are the humans the same throughout all three of the movies? Not that it really matters if you only defended the first one, but
They actually are, yeah.
Okay.
I think the reporter stays, and I know the girl who is mind linked to GAMERA stays.
how invested would you say you get in the human story? Like, does it matter at all?
It does. I like that better. I did watch 1985 Godzilla, and it seemed to be super like militaristic, just like the newest Godzilla is. Like Charlie Day, his interaction with the military is the only thing that matters. So I love that this is about like
just mix a bunch of movies.
Yeah, a reporter that is like trying to figure out what's going on. Like that's kind of a cool into the world. And then this girl who is like somehow linked with him, and she when he goes into hibernating after getting attacked by the mutated Gaios, she has to like be in a coma for a few days while she regenerates. You know, and it's just like her story with her parents and them trying to figure it all out is really cool too. And she's invested in the heart of Gamera. And something that I love about him from the first time he appeared in 1965 is he really wants to protect humans, and he always like latches on to a child. And the first one is a small boy that he kind of like comes and saves, picks up and saves his life, you know. So he's always like the guardian of the children or the guardian of the universe, whatever.
Guardian
Like
of
a
the galaxy.
Yeah, he loves little boys.
Sounds like a pervert.
Welcome back,
That's
Chewie.
I come back in on he loves little boys.
Giant turtle pervert.
I mean, it's not, the story isn't necessarily 100% about the humans. It's about the plight against the villain, whoever it ends up being in any of the 3 movies. But they are definitely more of an element than if you're just watching like some gung-ho soldier trying to fight this thing.
Right.
What do the villains want? Like, what's their deal?
Yeah, like that's like, the motivation of the movie. I think has been the most unclear thing. Like I'm all for watching everything you just said happen. That sounds awesome, but why?
Well, because the humans have to learn their lesson.
Sure,
that
yeah.
they sometimes
We do
can't
suck,
control everything, and natural disasters happen, and it's because we're polluting the environment. I mean, yeah, there's not like some struggle they have to overcome. Of course, the reporter is trying to stop the military from fighting Gamera. They're like, no, he's the good guy. You can't shoot him. You got to get these. And their military is fighting both of them equally, which is...
They just can't aim.
Yeah, no.
That's what it sounds like.
But the plot of the movie is these giant creatures come back from the bottom of the ocean and start attacking Japan. And this other creature comes up and has to fight them. That's the premise.
I
of
mean,
the
that's
movie.
pretty classic.
Yeah.
Kaiju, sure,
Yeah.
sure. What else did I have? So, shit, man, you really you covered a lot of it. It's tough for me to come up with a lot of questions in this. What do you guys have to say? Why are your movies better than his?
Not turtles.
Mine is Godzilla, King of All Monsters.
Yeah, but mine came out 10 years later and did it better.
Yours was using
Oh,
but like to be fair, yours is using like really dated themes. Like again, like kaiju movies
Sure.
historically are all about like what they're trying to say, and this is using the same themes that the 1965 movie did, and it doesn't update them at all in the way that say like Pacific Rim does. And I think that's where like.
Or Godzilla.
I agree with that. And that's why I
like
opened with
zombie
it's a
movies,
love letter
Godzilla
to kaijus.
Yeah.
plays on the fears of society in different iterations every so many years.
Well, certainly this was too, like they shoot at anything that they fear, you know, and you can't do that because they put Gamera back into hibernation until he
watch how
That's
watch how the other movies to reflect the time. Like I didn't realize this with Cloverfield, but that building, the skyscraper scene, was 2 skyscrapers, stacked against each other. Like there's like this genuine fear that fits the country
for sure.
And that feels more kaiju in it.
And like the friendly fire with the military, and like whereas yours, like everything you just described is like Japan's state of mind post World War II into the Cold War. Like there's no updating, and like in
This
the
came out
90s,
in the 90s.
yeah,
Right.
this is the 90s. You know, like they were dealing with different issues, and like there's still always that like limited resource thing, but like the nuclear thing is just not as much of an issue. I mean, maybe now post Fukushima, but that was
Yeah,
in
big
that
time.
like nice little nugget where they weren't worried about nuclear shit.
I
you
mean,
know?
it was more about pollution. They hit the whole pollution, the acid rain, like that kind of stuff home more than they did the nuclear aspect of it, which I didn't really sell properly. You're right to call me out on that.
Is Gamera Captain Planet?
No.
No?
Gamera has nothing to do with it. It's
Oh.
the humans that
All right,
figure out
that's
that
it.
it's the pollution. But my favorite line from the Gamera series in the third one is, "What I want to know is why all these monsters keep attacking Japan, and how do we put a stop to it?" That's my impression of the English dubbing.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. The subtitles are way better.
Ryan, who would you like to follow that?
Let's keep going, Sam.
all right.
Pacific
Oh,
Rim.
the best for last. All right.
According to you.
I watched a dub version, so it's cheesy as hell.
Oh, yes. I mean, I'll talk about it.
We'll get there. All right, so Sam, you got 5 minutes to state your case why Pacific Rim is the best one on the table today. Go!
Okay, so like I was talking about earlier, kaiju movies historically are about first like Japan's limited resources, being an island, going into World War II, and then post World War II, they're all about like the effects of nuclear fallout and like what a nuclear world means for a small island. And Pacific Rim takes that idea, but then also updates it for the modern world by focusing on globalism and us needing to come together to stop environmental disaster. And the story, you've all seen it, but for the listeners, the story the story is that a portal opens from under the ocean, monsters start coming through, and the world drops its differences and manages to put together this Jaeger program. So they have these giant robots that are designed to fight off the kaiju, which keep getting progressively bigger and coming with more and more frequency. When the Jaegers start working, everyone just starts building walls, which is ultimately useless. Like, we're coming to that realization now. Walls, shutting ourselves in does no good. It doesn't solve any problems. Yeah, so they Stacker Pentecost, played by Idris Elba, decides to resurrect some old Jaegers and cancel the motherfucking apocalypse, which he does with the help of like a ragtag band of leftover Jaeger pilots, some Americans playing Australians, a bulldog, 2 Russians, 3 Japanese dudes, and his adorable adopted Japanese daughter who's grown now that he saved from a previous kaiju attack, and Charlie Hunnam, who's trying really hard.
Oh, Charlie.
It's really cute to watch him try. So anyway, they all team up, and I think it's Jimmy Smits helping him, right, on the control deck.
No, it's not Jimmy Smits.
That fucking guy. Anyway. He's been with whatever. This fucking guy's helping him. Ron Perlman is a black market kaiju dealer, and he's got brains, which Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny, he's playing a Dr. Not Geisler. That's the German one. Anyway, Charlie Day is playing this adorable scientist who really loves kaiju, and he manages to use the technology that they use in the Jaegers to connect the 2 pilots' brains to commune with the kaiju, and he learns that they're actually trying to take over and colonize the planet. So the monsters have really clear motivation, the people have really clear motivation, and it's all playing into like really it's an homage to old kaiju films. Like, I'm naming elements that are in all of your films. There's little ticks that they harvest. There's a portal coming up from below. There's a lot that's borrowed from all the Godzilla movies, but especially 85. But it remixes them in a way that really is saying something about current society. And what I really love about Pacific Rim is kaiju came first, but then Japan, they were primarily a thing of like the 60s, right? And then in the 70s and 80s, Japan moved on to giant robots, which take the fear that we had and morphs it into something super positive for humanity. Like, giant robots following kaiju is such an important step in our cultural evolution by first being afraid of the science and then harnessing it and using it for good. And Pacific Rim is so pro science, and it's so pro like coming together and finding solutions and not just succumbing to nature, but learning to work with it. It doesn't treat nature as an enemy. It's trying to understand what the kaiju want, and it's trying to figure out a way to stop them so that the world can be better. And it's not without consequences. Like, people like Idris Elba's character is still suffering from nuclear sickness, but it's the best. We're trying to do the best we can as humanity after we've kind of like screwed up, and it's a story of redemption for all of humanity, which is so cool. And the characters are actually pretty, like, Mako Mori has such a great storyline as like Idris Elba's kind of adopted daughter and the trauma she experienced. I think the way that the pilots have to connect in the Jaegers provides a really human element because they're all up in each other's heads, so you feel pain when you lose someone, like genuine loss. And it sticks. Like, Charlie Hunnam, like, if he were a better actor, this would have played better. But I think the pain that he's supposed to, the pain that he carries experiencing his brother's loss in his head, like, really plays throughout the movie and really is a genuine motivation for his character. And it's baked enough into the script that you still feel that. So, yeah. And I like, too, that they show, like, snippets of humanity and how the world has responded to kaiju with, like, the kaiju cults and the black market. And so you get a feel for, like, what life is like in a war zone. And that's, I don't know. How much time do I have left?
You have 30 seconds.
Okay, I'll forfeit those.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so the things that you didn't hit. Now, I saw this movie, I think, 3 times in theaters. I'm clearly a big fan of it. But there are complaints that you gracefully avoided that I will bring up. So the major thing that I've heard from people around the world, if you will, people don't like the time frame of it. They say that it's too recent for this technology to exist. What say you?
I think it seems about right. I mean, they cover their asses. I think... What did I just watch recently that took place in the near future?
Terminator Genesis.
No, Logan. And Logan had Logan. No, I didn't watch Terminator.
Yeah, Logan.
No, like, Logan had really good future tech, and
Yeah.
I think the drift is obviously it's more fantasy than sci-fi, for sure.
Yep.
And I think if we're willing to accept that, like, building a giant walking tank, totally conceivable.
Yeah, it just
That's
they wouldn't
totally-
want to pour the resources into it these days. I get
Yeah,
that.
but if you had global resources and
Sure.
a threat that was imminent, hell yeah.
Okay. What do you say about the way too late reveal of the super sword?
That's just kaiju treatment. like honestly, like the whole thing of like fighting kaiju with like, you have to buy into the premise early on because they're not like a terribly efficient way to fight these monsters.
Nope.
So like if you're willing to buy into that, and if you're, like I said, this is paying homage to like a really classic genre that's again more about themes than it is about like just the hard science. So I think like if you're just there for it, and if you're like, I mean, I'm a huge Voltron fan, right? So if you're just here for the blazing sword reveal, because like Volty always waited until the third act, even though he could kill a Roby straight up in the first.
Oh yeah.
Like that to me was just like that for me was the moment that took my breath away.
Weren't
Because
the,
like, as a fan of like giant robot films, I was just like, holy shit, you know.
See,
but it still works as a kaiju film too, you know, because they're just like going for it.
Yeah.
I was thinking
I think
about
you
that.
Hit it, though.
I was
Like,
thinking
this is a robot movie.
Yeah.
To me, yeah.
I was thinking about that same argument, and didn't the kaiju like learn the tactics of all the good guys?
They were
Yeah.
evolving. And
They were
that's the thing,
evolving. So like, if you
they're-
give them if you show them the most powerful weapon in the beginning, wouldn't they just get better? Get good?
Exactly. Brian,
right?
that's why they wait.
I mean, I was trying like how does this work? Because I was gonna bring that as a
It's-
complaint, but then I was like,
yeah.
wait, the kaiju are smart in
Yeah.
this one.
Well,
They
they're
didn't.
they're-
Humans didn't know that right away.
Kaiju aren't smart.
Right.
They're recon vehicles. They're creatures that are designed to take in information and send it back. And I think that they play into that hive mind idea like really, really cool. I don't know. I dig it.
No, I don't disagree with you, but I have to ask to try to be as you know.
I understand. I know what you're doing, bro.
Okay, so no,
I'm
here's
not working with turtles. I don't get to
Ooh, that
curry.
is-
I don't get to
man.
cater to your favor.
that,
What do
that
you
is
think?
a
My
that is a
thing
tough
is-
lead right
but
there.
I do have more giant robots like Power Rangers.
I noticed.
Mech-
So here's my other question though, is to what Ryan just said a second ago. What about the argument that this is more of a big robot movie than it is a kaiju movie?
I think they go hand in hand. You can't have you can have a kaiju film without giant robots, but you can't have a modern film about kaiju, I don't think, without giant robots, because you need that evolution. You need that celebration of humanity for it to work. I think that's what felt off about the new Godzilla movie.
Okay.
Is it just it sort of feels stunted because you need what they represent culturally. I think you need to incorporate at this point in modern, unless you find a really special way of accessing the kaiju aspect of it, like you need the giant robots,
I don't know.
or else
There's
you're
a-
just playing into old timey themes about like militarism. But there's something new to be said. There's something better to be said about that.
She looks over her shoulder at me and that's playing the themes.
So here's the other thing, and this is actually my personal biggest complaint with the movie, and I want to see how you defend it. The robots are all very impressive and memorable. Monsters,
That's fair. Like I think.
they're cool, don't get me wrong, but I can't describe really any of them to you other than eventually one of them sprouts out wings, and it's pretty badass, but
I was actually like rewatching it, and this is like every time I rewatch it, I notice more and more detail, which I kind of love. It's a world that's unfolding, but the fact that they all do have like different features, and one of them looks very much almost like a lamprey eel when it comes out with
Sure.
like its weird face, and one of them it reminds me a little bit of Rampage.
okay.
Like they all do kind of have those qualities. It's just because we're following like #Team Robot, we don't necessarily get to appreciate that unless you're looking for it. Like if you're watching it as a kaiju film, then like yeah, the kaiju are really special, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
thought put into the design.
So I'm gonna throw one out. I totally don't remember. This is probably the longest movie that since I've seen it at the table. But can you name any of the kaiju?
There's one named Hammerhead, and there's one named, it had a weird Japanese name, but it sounded like umami, and I liked it.
And that's my big argument. Like this isn't, there's no memorable kaiju.
No, but the robots are super memorable, so it's like
Right.
it's tough for me to really try to
Are
knock
you
this one
team
down.
human or team monster? Like, God.
I'm team Charlie Hunnam.
The only thing I can
Yes.
think of to knock this down.
I'll let you say your pace really quick because she
I-
did forfeit her last 30 seconds.
The last part of the film when they're about to blow them all up, I was just like, wow, a lot of these scenes feel reminiscent of Independence Day, pretty hardcore.
Yeah, but like Roland Emmerich sucks, so why not let a good director take a crack at those scenes?
Boom!
All right.
Damn.
That was the best argument yet.
We lost his listen.
Yeah, that was set up
Oh my
and then
god, if
knocked back
Roland
down.
Emmerich was listening to this podcast, I'd be like so
Roland
excited.
Emmerich actually does have like a weird Twitter relationship with one of my friends.
Yeah.
Because my buddy really likes him and would like tweet like, I just watched 10,000 BC, and Roland Emmerich sent him a signed copy of the film.
What?
That's amazing.
Did it also have a note saying, "So you're the one"?
This is now the second
can't
copy
explain
episode.
Man, I saw that movie in
Dude,
theaters.
Roland
That's a
Emmerich
rough
just
watch.
wants to blow up the world, guys. Just let a man dream.
He just wants to watch the world burn.
He just wants to blow
Yeah,
up the
right.
White House. Let's not say
over
the whole
and
world.
over again.
And apparently the entirety of Paris, but that movie sucked.
All of his movies suck. Like, let's be honest.
I've heard that his one about Shakespeare was pretty decent.
No, it's fucking horrible.
Good to
because
know.
It just,
I'll continue not watching
no,
it.
like,
What
oh,
movie is
God.
that?
Anonymous.
God, it's so bad because it's all just like based on false information. It's oh God.
So if I watch it, I need to watch it with Sam.
What
Got
if
it.
Shakespeare wasn't
And
Shakespeare?
it's like all like it's like incesty in the worst way, not in the cool Game of Thrones way, but like in the shitty like
Oh, there's a cool incest.
like no, when it's like mother to son, that's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like it's all weird, but like there's levels of weird.
Oh,
That's
boy.
like in the portal weird to reference your movie.
All right, so we have one left on the table, and
What?
she claims we saved the best for last. I'll let her
Yeah.
defend that. Godzilla 1985. Chewie, you have 5 minutes.
Stretching. Hold on.
Doing
Don't
some
start the
stretches.
clock.
Ready.
Stretching,
Yeah.
stretching. Go!
Woo! Okay, so going back to young Chewie, 1985, and how so many movies scared me and shit, but man, this movie awoken part of my soul. This is the first Godzilla movie I can think that I can remember. Like, I don't know why I saw this, considering my parents are not cinephiles, but this has never left my psyche. Godzilla 1985 is actually the reimagining of Godzilla, direct sequel to the 1959 or 1956. I forgot exactly which year.
Just say
that
the
was supposed to
original,
take-
that's
the
fine.
original.
OGZilla.
It brings us into a second, or into the highways.
Sorry, that just works so well. OGZilla, because it's original gangster
Yeah.
and Godzilla.
So it's supposed to be a direct sequel to the original Godzilla, where they just kind of forget about all of the other ones that came out during the 60s and 70s. So the reason I love this movie so much is that it is a very emotional Godzilla film. It brings it, when we're talking about kaiju films reflecting society and fears and everything, this one is the Cold War. This is Japan stuck between America and Russia. And it's all about how the Americans and the Russians, like, just fucking nuke him. Nuke Godzilla. We need to get rid of this threat right now. And Japan just sits there calmly, goes, no, we're not going to do that. And it's about how Japan is trying to be very forward thinking in like technology and stuff, and they have this thing called Super X that's going to destroy Godzilla, and it's their greatest invention that they have at the time. Even Super X, you could come up with a better name, but it's great. And it has its own theme song, and then it fights Godzilla, and then it pretty much just puts sleeping pills in his mouth, which I think is fantastic, where it's not even really trying to kill Godzilla, but it's just like, just go to sleep, buddy. Just go to sleep.
They roofie him.
They roofie Godzilla.
Dead Red Godzilla.
Japan's a bunch of frat bros.
And then Godzilla just starts drooling a whole bunch and then falls over, and they think they beat him, but they didn't. Because nature brings him back, because nature loves Godzilla, because that's the representation of nature trying to stop us from our warmongering. And this totally brings into the Godzilla being a dinosaur, essentially, where he gets distracted by birds, which brings in more science that apparently Ryan didn't like very much. Thought you were going to quib in there, Ryan.
I try not to interrupt you. I'm sorry. But it's not the science. It's the military. I don't like too much of it.
Oh.
The too much military, I mean.
But it's a kaiju movie.
Get back to the birds.
Sorry. He gets distracted by the birds, so then they do try supersonic bird technology to distract him, to bring him into the pit of a dormant volcano that they try to destroy him with. And then you have a very somber, sad ending to the movie where everyone sees Godzilla kind of getting consumed by lava, and everyone's sad because they're killing the representation of the Earth, essentially, to save their own means or whatnot. And I think that's a great message of this film of, like, we're trying to fight nature all the time, but then once we kill nature, we feel really bad about it. So this movie has a ton of messages in it. And just to go into technicalness of it, beyond the messages, I love the reveal of Godzilla, because I don't know, everyone complains that Godzilla doesn't come into these movies soon enough, but in this movie, we only see a couple ships getting attacked at the beginning underwater, and we find out that Godzilla is just trying to gain up strength, and then we don't even see Godzilla first. We get Godzilla's perspective. We see just fog, and then we see the fog roll out, and then we're suddenly at a nuclear power plant, and then you realize this is Godzilla walking up to a nuclear power plant, and he's going to go into there, and he essentially pulls out a nuclear reactor and hugs it. He's just like, this is my life right here, and he just hugs it, which is a good representation, again, of the Cold War, people being obsessed with nuclear power at the time. And I don't know, it's really sweet, because he's just hugging it. Godzilla himself in this movie is terrifying. The design, he's big, stark, mean, his teeth are long and sharp, and he's always screaming. Like, there's a lot of Godzilla roars in this movie.
You're out of time.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so 5 minutes on the rest of this. Why is your movie better, specifically, than the rest of the table? Like, why is I guess you really weren't in the room much for GAMERA, except for the end of it. Why is yours better than Pacific Rim? Like, why should people watch yours instead of Pacific Rim?
Instead of Pacific Rim?
Yeah. In current day standings, whereas Pacific Rim is talking about, like, current day stuff, and this one's more dated, why would you still reach for Godzilla over Pacific Rim?
Well, especially with current climates. This is a very serious film about America and Russia, and how a lot of people are kind of getting stuck in between again, and how everyone's just fear-mongering and they don't know how to deal with it. This movie touches on all of that. And it is a very serious movie. Like how a lot of times people will go to these things to like have fun, just kick back, colors, fighting things, beautiful, which Pacific Rim touches on, and I love Pacific Rim. But Godzilla brings you back, Godzilla 1985 brings you back down, and it's like, all right, no, these things are terrifying. We don't really know how to stop them, and we're just going to throw things at them until something works, and we're going to hope for the best. And this movie really captures on that. And then, they kind of win at the end, but, it's Godzilla, so he doesn't actually die. They just put him in a warm bath for a while.
It's an annoyingly warm bath. Too hot. Why is it better than Cloverfield?
Because you actually see the monster a lot, and you still get people running away from him the whole time. You get to see their perspective. Like when Godzilla first comes up, you just see a guy that falls on the ground and starts at his feet and looks up, and then you see the entirety of Godzilla, and he's going, "Roar, Godzilla!" Because yes, I watched it in the American dubbed version. Which I didn't even bring in all this silly.
It's weird. I watched that after Cloverfield, and the scene where HUD looks up and the monster at the very end before he gets it. Oh, poor HUD. But like that same scene, they pan up in roughly the same way. It felt like a very direct homage to this.
Very end
Abrams
of
did an
movie.
Homage? No way.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah,
no
and
way.
that's the very end of Cloverfield, and like that's like 25 minutes into Godzilla. This Godzilla.
I feel like this Godzilla was very human. Birds are also the bane of my existence, and I don't like getting roofied either.
You still have 2 pet birds, don't you?
They are the bane.
I didn't mention
Bane of my existence.
the American version of this film is brought to you by Dr. Pepper.
Oh man.
See, that's where I was like, because I was drinking a Dr. Pepper when I watched this, and I was like, yes.
Aren't you always drinking a Dr. Pepper?
Yes,
I've been to your house. You have more Dr. Pepper than food in your fridge.
It is the only soda.
I'm trying to think of other good questions for this thing. You did a really good job covering most of it.
How do you-
Talk to us
I have
about
a good
the
one.
humans.
Oh, or that. I was going to say, how do you reconcile the fact that at the table, yours got a solid 60% less than the rest of them on Rotten Tomatoes?
Because Rotten Tomatoes sucks.
Yeah,
Rotten Tomatoes is a den of people who just want lots of pew 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 action, pew Marvel, wah.
Oh, that's why our
Rotten-
movies did great.
But yeah, so
Touche.
the human element is the
Or,
is the name of the game.
social messages.
Dude, the
like, get
human
out, getting
element in this
99%.
movie. The human element in mine is multi-generational. One of the main scientists in it is a man who lost both of his parents to Godzilla in the original attack, but then he finds himself falling in love with Godzilla and understanding that Godzilla is a representation of the planet against humanity, and how he's just like, he's looking for something. He's not trying to hurt us. He's trying to find something, which you never really figure out what he's trying to find.
That sounds like weak sauce motivation for the monster, which my movie did not lack.
Aliens.
Did your movie have an adorable bulldog?
No, but it had an adorable little Asian girl, which was the only female in the whole movie.
Mine did too.
1 step forward, 2 steps back.
The dog got eaten in my movie.
That is all the steps back.
And mine also has fun humor with a homeless dude who's just kind of, for a little while, actually really enjoying that Godzilla's running amok in Tokyo, because that means he gets to go into a nice restaurant and make himself a great meal.
He's the only one that talks back to Godzilla and lives.
What do you think you're doing here? Get out of here!
It's like, get out of here! And Godzilla's like, oh, sorry.
Godzilla understands that he too has been dicked by humanity.
Yeah.
I think there was a nod. If I was paying attention, like Godzilla's like, I get you.
Yeah. All
I
right.
get you. Wink, wink.
Oh man, if Godzilla winked, this would have just won
But
right
yeah.
there.
I like how they have 2 characters specifically pulled from the original film, and the one Raymond Burr from the American, which was definitely shoehorned in here for the Americans version.
Oh, it felt very shoehorned. I was like, what's this guy
Wait,
doing here?
it's a different version for America?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
In all the American stuff wasn't in the Japanese film. That was reshot
right,
later
of course.
for a
We're out of
re-release.
time.
Yeah.
All right.
That in itself is like almost relevant. Appropriation.
Yeah.
So you guys all had rather solid arguments. So this is gonna be difficult.
Do you want a final summation?
Yeah, give me 1 sentence each on why yours is the. I've kind of asked you all already, but I just kind of reiterate, if you will, why I should watch your. Because I'm gonna watch all these this week, which I'm planning on doing anyways. Why should I watch yours first?
Because mine is the only movie at the table with a kaiju protagonist and hero, and he happens to be a giant flying fire-breathing turtle with sharp pointy teeth.
Fuck, that's a good argument. Okay.
My movie has deep cultural references that still resonate to today.
Okay, deep cultural references still resonate to today. Sam?
Mine is the most technically proficient, the most culturally relevant, and it has Idris Elba canceling the motherfucking apocalypse.
Damn. Good arguments.
Yeah,
John,
it's
why
really
should I watch yours first?
Because it's a love letter to the genre, and because it has a cultural relevance to our fear from 9/11.
Our fear of found footage movies. Oh, wait.
No. That too, I guess.
Found footage movies are the way of the future, guys. Wait, what? Why are you not watching them?
So what I
Sorry,
got from
John.
all of them was basically that they all have some cultural relevance to today.
Except mine. Just
Except yours.
a
Yours just
turtle.
says fire-breathing turtle. So whereas, okay, so I'm gonna
Charizardle.
Yeah, that's so good. I didn't even think of that.
I'm going to start at the bottom here. There are no losers except for this one. I'm kidding. But the one that I think that I'd probably, out of all the arguments today, no offense, John, but you lost me immediately when you said the best thing about it makes me want to watch other ones. When then I just heard 3 other ones that sound awesome.
Okay.
So whereas I don't think that yours is a bad movie, and you did a very good job selling it, and I really liked your final sentence. I think that'd probably be number 4 out of the day. And then the rest of it's really fucking difficult. I think third place, I'd have to go. Fuck, I don't want to do this, but I have to go with GAMERA. And the only reason is because it's between the other two that have very cultural big things in them that are that I really gravitate towards. But at the same time, I almost gave yours first place because of Power Rangers.
I'm not gonna lie, they're 3 really good movies.
Yeah, and I
hard.
really look forward to watching them. Yeah. So I think when it comes down between 1985 Godzilla and Pacific Rim, I want to say tie, but that is against every fiber of my being. So we're not doing that. I'd have to say I gotta go Pacific Rim wins. And it's by like a hair, because most of your arguments are very, very similar. They're both very cultural relevant. They're both very important to today, and it's very much science versus nature, and we should not fuck over nature. And that's all in both of your movies, and I think that's really important. The only reason why Pacific Rim edges out Godzilla just a little bit is because of how important it is, especially in today's political climate, that we work together as opposed to against each other. And Pacific Rim has that, whereas Godzilla, we're all against each other.
Oh, yeah, it's true. And the Russians almost fuck it up.
Yeah, so that might be a little too real for me today, whereas I'd like the idea of Pacific Rim of everybody getting together. So a damn near tie. It'd be like a 1% difference between the two of why Pacific Rim would edge it out.
Does this make me 3 for 3 on battle episode?
Yeah, it might be, and that really upsets me. So the next time you're on, the judge really has to go hard against Sam.
She always cheats by picking good movies.
I mean, it's better.
Yes, Mr. Aimbotter.
No. I would like to note that one time I won on Sister Act 2 Back in the Habit.
Oh,
that
yeah,
still
that's
annoys the crap out of me.
Bryan hates that movie.
I hate that movie so much.
That was a good
But
one.
it's fine. It was a good argument, so at least there's that. Okay, so that brings today's episode to a close. I think you guys all did great. I really like the new format of the battle. Me
too.
I hope you guys do too, because I think the episodes have gotten better now that it's just us not all arguing against each other, but all for one person. Yeah. So next week, I believe, I don't remember which one's coming out first. We're doing a double episode on one Saturday, so I don't remember the release schedule of this, but there's Beauty and the Beast, and then Power Rangers the movie, the original, which I am so excited for both of these. Very 90s nostalgia weekend.
Wait, is this the animated Beauty and the Beast?
Yes.
Okay.
Which
is it's the same thing as the new one coming out.
apparently it's the exact same movie.
Which
No,
makes
it
me
does look
really
that way,
sad.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I was really kind of excited about seeing the new Beauty and the Beast, but if it's a frame by frame, I'm like,
I don't think it's like frame by frame. I think it's beat by beat.
Come on.
Here's the thing: if you're
Song
going
by
to do it beat
song.
by beat, do it frame by frame.
Yeah.
I thought
Make it
I thought they
cool.
had a couple of new songs in it.
They probably do for
Frame
Academy
by
Award
frame is so
consideration, but that'd be
lazy.
about it.
Well, there's probably extra songs that they cut out, and
They
again.
either cut them out and replace them. I know there's a little bit of differences, and then that's really just Academy bait.
Yeah.
Pending schedule conflicts, like I said, this usually jinx it. We have Deneen Melody coming on for Beauty and the Beast, and we have But That's Just My Opinion podcast, Matt Lantrip coming on for the Power Rangers movie, and I'm very excited for both of those. And then in 3 weeks, we have another battle episode, and then we're going to take a little bit of time off of battles because this is a lot of battles. But that one is for Ghost in the Shell, and we're doing an anime battle, and I'll explain the rules to that later. But it's going to be a lot of fun, and I have a feeling it's all going to be kind of old anime things because I think we all kind of fell out of anime, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Quick round of plugs. You can find us online, athpod.com. You can find John's new article there that he just wrote about the movie that defines him as a person. I'm not going to spoil it here, but you should definitely check it out. It's a fun article.
it's one of many.
And then mine comes out. It'll probably be out before this episode comes out on ranking all the Friday the 13th movies. I've written it. I just need Chewie to proofread it, and then we'll release that one. And then we have some more coming down the pipeline. We have a few guest writers who are starting to write things now, and we're looking for more. And Twitter, ATH_podcast. Everywhere else, ATH Podcast. Rate and review us on iTunes. Anything else? Did I miss anything?
Please share us with your family and
Yes,
friends.
share with our family and friends.
Share aggressively.
And
Yes.
please, one of our favorite things so far is when we do talk to people that are listeners, they, like, I don't know how many times it's been now, but like every time it's been rage screaming. And I actually love hearing that.
Yeah.
I just got it from a friend at a rap party. She's, again, our BVS episode, but she listened to it and she said she paced around her apartment
Nice.
disagreeing with us. And I love those stories.
Perfect.
So please, if you have any, tell us.
I was like bleeding through my eyeballs for the chick flick episode. Just sitting in traffic, like raging.
I love it.
That's good. That means we have a good show on our hands. So, as always, oh my God, I'm going to finish this podcast. As always, we know there's a million movie podcasts out there, so we thank you for listening to this one. Goodbye.
OG Godzilla.